Alright guys, how's it going? Josh here again with another Maya tutorial. This tutorial is going to be about rendering out wire meshes. Basically that wire mesh right there. What you see in green, you can render that out so you can lay it over top of your final render. You'll see that a lot in like demo reels, people showing off their props and their modeling just to show off in the picture. You can also so you can show off your mesh density and your edge flow and stuff like that. So it's actually really handy to to be able to render these out and to show them in your demo reels and for your portfolios. It's super easy. This hopefully shouldn't be too long of a video. So what I'm going to use here is an old model I modeled, an old prop that I modeled a long time ago. I didn't really model it for, well, I just didn't model it too very well. I inserted edge loops around the edges, so the edges are always sharp, where I should have used a bevel tool. This is one of my very first projects. I modeled it, with smooth mode. When you hit 3, I modeled it with that in mind. But one thing with when rendering in smooth mode is that you don't see them here. Well, actually, well, with this you do. Okay, well, I forgot to turn that on. When you enter 3 mode, you probably will not see um, how dense it actually is. Like when you look at this, the hub here in the middle, you see how dense it really is. When you render out the mesh, this is actually what you're gonna see. It's gonna render every single line around every polygon instead of the polygons that you actually manipulated out here. So it's gonna also render what it added as well, and you don't want that because that's gonna look super dense. That's gonna look like, oh, why would you make it that dense? If you're trying to show it off in a prop, you want to show off as little polys as you can, really. So you just don't want it to render out like this. So first of all, I recommend don't model for 3 mode. Use that for final production stuff. Fine if you want to get that perfect edge. But model it as if you're going for high poly modeling, but for game quality, maybe a little more, or for production quality, not game quality, because you can always take it down to game quality. So render it out so it looks good in one mode. Don't do what I did with this one, because if I rendered the wireframe out for this in 3 mode, you really wouldn't see any detail at all. It would just be whatever color the wire frame that you make it is, and it would just be blown out. And I can actually, do I have that enabled? Yeah, I think I do. So I can actually show you that to you guys. Actually, I'm going to show you how to turn this on too if you want to. So by default, you guys probably, even in 3 or smooth mode, by hitting the 3 button, you'll probably see it, pretty normal, like what you left it with. The same polys, right? Just smoother. To turn this on, you just go over to your attributes. I don't know why this is taking so long. Try attribute editor. Yay. There we go. Not sure why that took so long. Alright, and you'll see under this tab, smooth mesh tab, open that up and you'll see subdivision levels. Okay, and then you'll see, this will be checked by default. You'll see that'll be unchecked by default as well. You'll see display subdivisions. You can check that. Oh, you can check that and it'll show what's actually there, what really is there, and there'll be dotted lines instead of whole solid lines. It'll show what's really there while in, right? If I go to 1, it doesn't show any. If I go to 1 mode, it shows the polys that I put there, that I manipulated, that I worked with. If I go to 3, it shows everything, if that's selected. If it's not selected, it shows only that. But you can't shut that. At least I haven't figured it out. If you guys have figured it out, please share, because that would be awesome. But I haven't figured out how to actually render this in 3 mode, but only show what I used, like this. Every time I render it in 3 mode, it shows it super dense. You can also, one quick little thing is that you can adjust how many subdivisions you want, right? So by default, it's at 2. All right, and let's say, and if you change the slider, this is you can change how many subdivisions it'll add by hitting when you hit 3. So I'm in 3 mode right now, and it's not adding any because it's at 0. Right, I'm at 3 mode again. Right, oh, let's go to 1. Oh, wait, what the heck's going on? There we go. 1, 3, 1, 3 mode. You can see it added 1 level of subdivision. Now I go to 2, and it goes 3, and it goes all the way up to 4. It's super crazy, right? You can see there's 18,000, yeah. Oh no, wait, 188,000. My bad. There's 188,000 polygons in here. I'm sure you could use that for something, some crazy level of production with like a massive render farm, but that's ridiculous. That you shouldn't really ever need that. That actually, does that get bigger? Oh, okay, no. It just hit that bar on me. Okay, so I'm gonna take this back down to 2. Default, I've actually just kind of recently figured out the smooth mesh tab here, and it's always worked for me. 2 has been plenty. I haven't ever really needed more. Maybe on like super massive objects with low polys, and then you try to hit smooth, you can still see it. You might want to crank that up, but other than that, you should be fine. So let's go ahead and go back to that. So again, I have this really low, or not really low, I have this basic model here. There's UVs aren't laid out, so no textures are applied. I applied some basic Mia materials here to give it some color, just to kind of liven up what we want to do with it here. And I kind of made a scene, just like as if it was sitting inside of as if it was a nice museum piece. Um, so to get started, what you want to do is open up your Hypershade, open up your renderer, your render view. And you can see right here, I already rendered it out once. I'm gonna render it out also in 1. Yeah, I'm just gonna do it in 1 mode just because it looks really bad otherwise. I already rendered out what this is gonna look like right here, kind of the beauty pass that I like to call it. And I'm just gonna file save this out real quick. I already made one. I'm gonna just overwrite that to the desktop. Yes. Okay. There we go. I'll show you guys what it looks like in 3 mode though. Okay, so I'll put it in 3, and I'm gonna make sure I save this image just like that. Okay. Now what you want to do is you just want to create in your Hypershade, go to materials and create a Lambert. That's all you'll need. Okay, and then go ahead and graph that new Lambert, and you'll see Lambert 3SG right here. Go ahead and click that, and this is going to be its shading group. So Lambert 3 shading group. You're going to want to go down to Mental Ray tab, and you'll see enable. You see contour tab, and then you want to enable contour rendering. You can change this color to whatever you want. I recommend keeping it keeping it white, but we'll just make it like a pink for now, just so I can show you what it does. And then change the width to whatever you want. I like 0.4. It seems to work with almost everything. If it's super dense, again, you might want to take it down. Actually, we will, because it's going to be super dense. So I'm going to take it down to like 0.3. It's going to be super dense right now. So that's pretty much all you have to do as far as the material goes. We'll go ahead and I'm going to select this, and we'll go ahead and apply it. Okay, you won't see anything. It's just like the surface shader. You won't see anything until after the render is complete. Okay, and now we're going to want to, nope. And now we're going to want to go into our settings, go over to configuration, and all the way at the bottom here you'll see contours. Open that up, and then I already have it selected. Just go ahead, this will be unselected by default. Go ahead and select enable contour rendering. I like to take this up to about 15ish or so. Box filtering should be fine. Haven't played with this too much. And then you're going to want to open up the draw by property difference right here, and you want to click around all poly faces. Now you can do silhouette if you wanted to just go around the silhouette of the whatever you want. You can play with this, but if you want to show your wireframe, go around all poly faces. And one more thing under quality is that if you're using a newer Maya and you're using the new sampling mode, that won't work for this. You cannot use a new sampling mode. So I'm gonna go in your quality tab, go down to legacy options and unified sampling. I couldn't remember what it was called. Open up where it says sampling mode and go down to legacy sampling mode. This is the only way that this will work. If you guys know a newer way again of how it will work in unified, that'd be awesome. But I don't. This is the way I know how to do it in legacy, and it's always worked for me. And I'll show you as well how to kind of get around batch renders, because you can use 2 different rendering sampling modes in the same batch render, and I'll show you how to do that. It's just basically by you can create an override for a rendering layer, and I'll show you how to do that too. I usually just crank this up to I crank it up to 4 just because to get rid of any jaggies you can. I want super smooth edges here. This is gonna be 3 mode. Yeah, we'll just keep it there. Take all this off. It doesn't matter. And that should be all you have to do. We should be good to go. We have our material applied. I'm gonna go ahead and take this down just real quick to like 960 by 540 so it renders faster, and give it a quick render. Now it's gonna look kind of weird because I took off Final Gathering. I just wanted it to go faster. And it's actually not. Yeah, okay, that's right. I went through all the individual pieces and took them down to render um, 3 mode, render when in smooth mode to actually render normal. But we remember I took the hub off of that. So the hub, remember, looks. Let's go ahead and get this up here. See, the hub actually looks like that. Oh, wait a minute. It looks like that, right? The polys look like that. Okay, but in here you can see how dense it really is and how dense it gets it in here. Now it is a low quality picture. You're probably going to render out in something at least 1080p, if not much more. Um, so you can see how dense it is, and you just lose all the detail. You lose what you're really looking at. This is what we want out here, and this is even kind of dense. I made this way too dense. Shame on me. I maybe should have picked a different model. But whatever. It'll work for what we're doing. Okay, I'm going to go back to just keep this at 3. Doesn't, or no. Go ahead and change all this back to 1. Now it should render that out as 1 as well. Let's do a quick check here. Select that. Make sure it renders it out how we want it to. Alright, yeah, perfect. And this is what we want right here. So all that is set up. We have this Lambert 3. I'm gonna name this, just name it wire so I know what I'm looking for. Okay. Now I'm gonna minimize all of these and I'm gonna show you guys something real quick. Get out of there. There we go. Alright, go to set it up for different render tabs so you can get to that wireframe really quick instead of having to go through all those parameters and change everything all the time. With your render sampling modes and everything, go to the render tab right here and just go ahead and click. I guess the only thing we want to render out is this. So I'm going to select what you want, or you can just click the plus button to create a new one, or if you can click this one with a ball on it, and everything that you have selected is going to be added to that render layer, right? So here we go. This is our master layer. This is the default. And right here, you can see that now that we created that new render layer, it basically kind of creates an entirely new scene and just puts in what we selected. Now I have a render cam set up, so I'm going to import that render cam. You can just select the render cam from your outliner and then go to add selected objects. It's basically just like normal layers in display. So now the camera is also in there, exactly how I have it set up in master. You can see right there, everything is set up the exact same way. And if I manipulate this in here, I guess I'm not 100% sure. Let's see. Oh, yeah, okay, it manipulates it everywhere. It's the same object. Let's go ahead and Z back until that goes back to where it was. There we go. I think that's everything. That's all I need in there because we only want to show off our model, right? We don't need any lights of any sort whatsoever because how I showed you, you do need lights. It shows the wireframe with the model you have right there, but I'm going to show you a different way. I'm going to show you how I do it so you have way more control in Photoshop, and you can take into Photoshop, use it as a map to kind of overlay, and then you can change it to whatever color you want, whatever opacity you want, and then you can kind of erase part of it if you want to. So I'm gonna show you how to kind of create a map of that wireframe, which will give you a lot more control. Okay, so this is all set up. What am I doing here? Okay, I'm gonna name this wire. And now what you're gonna want to do, okay, is you're gonna on the render layer wire, the one that you just created, you want to right click, come down to overrides, right, and then assign existing material override. Now in here you can see all your materials that you have created in your hypershade. Go ahead and click wire. Okay, now what that just did, it didn't look like it did anything, but what it just did is everything in your scene has that wire shader applied to it. Anything that you add to this scene is going to have that wire shader applied to it. And because that override takes care of all that stuff. And by default, the background is black when you render since there's nothing else in the scene, so we don't need to change that. So we should be good to go. One more thing you can do if you want, let me open up the hypershade one more time, and this, and go like that so we can see. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to take this wire, I'm just going to make it 100 all the way black. Now it doesn't really actually matter because you can make it all the way black, or you can go back to your settings. I probably should show you this earlier. And where am I at? Where am I at? Oh, here we go. Hide source. So basically, you'll keep the wire and you'll get rid of what the wire is actually on, right? So you get rid of all the polygons in between. So you can do that, and then you can put whatever you want that fill color to be. So let's say you have all the textures and everything on there, whatever. You can make the fill color completely white. You can make the fill color completely black. You can make it white if you want, but if you make it white, make sure you make the wires um, black. So, but since we have, so we're gonna keep it the flood color black. So we're gonna make our colors white, and I have to actually do that real quick. So back to wire, open up. Oh, that just shows. Okay, open up this. Let's go. We have black, so we just want it to be white, right? I'm gonna go back to 0.4. Actually, yeah, let's just keep it 0.4. All right, that's good to go. Wire is good to go. So now we have white wire on this. Now I'm gonna go back to my settings. Okay, now I'm gonna set everything how I want it. Like, let's say I'm doing a batch render, right? I want everything how I want my master layer, my beauty right here to be rendered. Okay, how I want. I wonder why that went black. I should be updating. I should have updated to the textures. 1 second. Okay, that's weird. I don't know why I did that. It shouldn't have done that. If you do this, it shouldn't have changed that when I went back to the beauty. I don't know why I did that. Maybe because I messed with something. I don't know. But it shouldn't do that. Okay. Now we have, again, our override for the wire there. And we can tell by if we go into our hypershade. Let's go ahead and go to wire, and we'll just crank this up again to a color. Now I'll come over here and go to the wire. You can see right here. It's not updating everywhere. That's probably because I didn't have it selected. No, it's still not. And whatever. It is over here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to black. You can see it updated. Okay. Now we are going to have to go back into quality, go back down to where you had your legacy options, and go back to change it back to unified sampling. I'm going to go ahead and turn back final gather, turn that back on. That's everything. Configuration. I'm going to turn this off. Enable contour rendering just for now. We'll turn it back on here in a second. Alright, so now it's off. Now it's off everywhere, right? Yep, okay. Now what, again with wire selected, the wire channel selected, go back to the contour, enable contour rendering, right click, and create layer override. So now you'll see it'll turn orange. You'll see that when you go to wire, go connect override and then check it. There we go. I believe, right? Yeah. So when you have that, when you go back over that, when it's rendering that layer, it'll change to that override. And we want to do the same thing to quality. So again, we're in wire, and that far left or right box there will turn yellow when it has overrides applied. Back into unified sampling, we're going to go ahead and go create layer override and change that to legacy sampling mode. Okay, now you can see by clicking back and forth, unified, legacy. One more time with this final gather. Can I not? I'm not able to, but again, now that I think about it, it doesn't matter. I think that's why you can't. Because if it's fully black, it won't. The final gather doesn't matter. It shouldn't add any time. But you still should be able to. Like I can do it with that. Oh, maybe, I bet you this is why. We have to come down to actual final gather. Create layer override. Turn that off. There we go. So go back down to legacy. Inside of legacy, you'll see final gather there again. And just create an override off. Okay. Now that should be good, right? If we are here, legacy, again, 4, keep that all the way down. All those should stay the same. Everything should be good to go. Let's go ahead and give this a render. Now I'm going to set that. What are we in test resolution? Don't want to take too long just to make sure we got it working. There we go. It looked like it was going to show it there for a second, but it didn't. There we go. That is our bolt wheel with the wire applied. Now it's not very high quality, so it's going to get blurry and kind of look poopy, but that's all right. That's exactly what we want. Now we can take this file into Photoshop and we can apply it over the other one, and I'll show you how I do that. It's super easy, super quick, and I'll show you how to do that as well. I am going to do one thing though. I'm going to take this down to 3. Those look a little thick. Let's do 0.3. All right, and I'm going to give this a big render. Test resolution back to 1080p. All right, I'm going to go one more. Shouldn't take too long again. That's a weird bug that it shows that background. It shouldn't, but it's good that it goes away, so it's all right. Guess we can open up Photoshop while we're doing this. All right, you can see that we have it done here. Go ahead and hit 1 to 1. There we go. Hitting 1 to 1 just kind of makes it a 1 to 1 resolution. It doesn't crunch the pixels, and that looks pretty good. That looks fine. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna right click, File, Save As. Boat. I didn't want to write wheel. I'm just gonna write wire. And you would think that you can save it out as a PNG. It kind of gets choppy and doesn't look very good when you save it out as a PNG. So I recommend saving it out as just a simple a JPEG. And then using layers to blend it. Alright, now we are going to move all this stuff here, and I'm just going to right click on both of these images, open with Adobe Photoshop, and open with Adobe Photoshop. Alright, here we are in Photoshop. Now I'm just going to Control A, Control Copy that entire thing, and then zoom into this a little bit. And this is you can see our beauty pass, if you will, and Control V over it. Now you can see if I shut these layers off, it's right on top of it. Perfect 1 to 1. And then I'm just going to simply multiply, no, wrong one. Screen, there we go. Now you can see the wireframe. Oh, I still feel like I'm in Maya. You try to use Maya controls. Alright, you can see the wireframe applied. And now with this wireframe applied, we can go ahead and adjust its opacities here. So you want it less or more over it. You can also, what we could have done, let's go ahead and just change this back to normal, as we can Control I to invert it. Ooh, that's really bright. Now it's white and black, and now we can multiply it. There we go, and now it's a black wireframe, right? But now let's say we want to make it some random color. I'm going to turn this back again because you can barely see the black. And we are going to screen it again. Okay, now let's say you want to make this any color you want, which you can do. It's not quite as straightforward as you might think. Like you can't just do, oh hey, color overlay if you double click. No, that overlays the entire thing, right? You don't want that. So we're going to cancel. What we want to do is we can just simply go ahead and come in, you see that little this little circle down here. Come over here and just click solid color, pop up right here. And now pick whatever color you want. I'm just going to do like a cyan right here. And then now if you hit like, let's say screen or something, it's going to apply it to everything, right? We want to just apply it to layer 1. So how do we do that? Go here. Let's go ahead and turn this back to normal. Again, right click on that color layer and go create clipping mask. What that does is that assigns it to only the layer directly below it. So now this is only assigned to this layer here. You can see that layer 1 got an underline there. So then also go to normal, or not normal, go to blend mode right here, and then you're going to want to, I believe it's screen? Nope, not screen. Is it multiply? Am I doing it wrong? There we go, multiply. There we go, got it. I always get those confused, I don't know why. But now you can see, there we go. And personally, I like it white, or a variant of like a gray maybe. Okay, so actually let's just Command Z. Let's go back into this. I'm gonna make it like a nice light gray. Maybe not 100% white. It can get a little crazy. Just something subtle. I don't like overpowering wireframes. Something subtle, even like maybe a darker gray might even look better. It's too dark because the material is pretty dark. Maybe we'll just keep it white. that's just too much. It's too much for me. Something subtle like that can work. All right, now let's say you want to make this a cool, like, kind of a piece. We can go ahead and come back to our layer. Maybe just hit E on the keyboard or come over here to your erase button. Make sure you have a feathering brush that you can see right here, one of these. That first one. All right, and then you can kind of maybe just go like this, you know. Something like that, where you can kind of see that fading in. Then maybe come back and make this a little bigger so it's a bigger feather. Back a couple. Oh, I hit the wrong button. There we go. Something like that, so you can see how it's a little bit more of a feather in there. Alright, and that's about it. That's how you create a wireframe in Maya and then bring it into Photoshop to kind of composite all together to make that really nice, to kind of show off your piece better in your portfolio. So again, thank you guys. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys liked the video, please hit the like button. Subscribe. I got lots of ideas for lots of videos in Maya, Unreal Engine 4, so maybe some Photoshop tutorials. But again, thank you guys for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.